There's a plant growing right now in the cracks of your driveway that contains more omega-3 fatty acids than salmon. Not per serving, not per pound, per leaf. It survives drought, heat, salt, and neglect. It has fed humans for thousands of years. It grows without permission, without fertilizer, without irrigation, and we were taught to kill it. We spray it, we poison it, we call it a weed. And yet, it might be one of the most nutritious plants on Earth. If this sounds uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is the beginning of understanding. Before we go any further, this channel exists to uncover what nature quietly preserved while modern systems taught us to forget. If this kind of knowledge matters to you, subscribe to Buried Nature Archive. These stories don't surface often, and when they do, they disappear just as fast. Now let's continue. This plant has many names. Its scientific name is Portulaca oleracea. Most people know it as purslane. It grows flat against the ground, thick, smooth red stems, small fleshy green leaves shaped like paddles. You've stepped on it, you've pulled it out, you've probably sprayed it with chemicals without ever asking what it was. Today it's treated as trash, as an invasive nuisance, as something that doesn't belong. But that wasn't always the case. Over 4,000 years ago, humans were deliberately cultivating purslane, not accidentally, not out of desperation, intentionally. In 1050 BC in northern Greece, someone stored its seeds in a clay vessel. When archaeologists opened that container more than 3,000 years later, they found thousands of tiny black seeds, still identifiable. The same plant growing between stones outside. By the 7th century BC, purslane appears in the Samian Hieron, one of the most important sanctuaries in ancient Greece. This was sacred ground. Nothing placed there was meaningless. By the 4th century BC, Theophrastus, the father of botany, was writing cultivation instructions for purslane, advising farmers to sow it in April alongside essential crops. This was not a weed. This was food. The Roman Empire cultivated it across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Medieval Europeans ate it daily. In 1288, Bonvessin della Riva documented everything the city of Milan consumed. Purslane wasn't listed as a novelty, it was listed as a staple. Civilizations don't preserve useless plants for thousands of years. Then something strange happened. After 1492, purslane crossed oceans, or so historians thought. When European settlers documented it in Massachusetts in 1672, archaeologists later discovered it had already been in North America for over 2,500 years. Seeds found in Kentucky date back to 800 BC. Seeds in Ontario date back to 1350 AD. Native American communities were cultivating purslane alongside sunflowers, squash, and chennepots as part of the Eastern agricultural complex. Two populations separated by an ocean, no contact, same conclusion. This plant mattered. The question is, why? For centuries, no one asked. Then, in the 20th century, science stumbled into the answer by accident. In 1960, physiologist Ansel Keys launched the 7 Countries study. He wanted to understand why heart disease devastated some populations while barely touching others. He tracked over 12,000 men across 7 countries for 50 years. One group broke every rule. The people of Crete consumed diets high in fat, over 35% of daily calories. According to the nutritional theories of the time, they should have had high rates of heart disease. They didn't. They had the lowest cardiovascular mortality Keys had ever measured. Lower than Japan, lower than Finland, lower than anywhere. For decades, researchers credited olive oil, monounsaturated fats, Mediterranean magic. Then, in the 1980s, scientists revisited frozen blood samples from the original study. This time, they weren't looking at cholesterol. They were looking at omega-3 fatty acids. What they found changed everything. The Cretans had 3 times the omega-3 levels of the Dutch population, but they weren't eating 3 times more fish. They were eating purslane every single day, in salads, in stews, sautéed with olive oil, fed to chickens and goats. The animals ate purslane. The people ate the animals. The entire food system ran on a wild plant growing freely in the fields. In 1992, Dr. Artemis Simopoulos analyzed purslane's nutritional content. The numbers didn't look real. 300 to 400 milligrams of alpha-linolenic acid per 100 grams of fresh leaves. That's 5 to 7 times more than spinach, 15 times more than iceberg lettuce. It is the richest vegetable source of omega-3 fatty acids ever measured. And then it got stranger. Land plants do not produce EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid. That's a marine omega-3. You get it from fish and algae. Purslane produces EPA. Not much, just traces, but enough to make scientists question whether the samples were contaminated. They weren't. Purslane also contains more vitamin E than spinach, more beta-carotene than carrots, and significant amounts of melatonin, glutathione, potassium, magnesium, and calcium. Nutritionally, it shouldn't exist. Clinical trials followed. The Lion Diet Heart Study tested whether a Mediterranean diet rich in purslane and omega-3s could save lives. 605 patients recovering from heart attacks were split into 2 groups. One group received the standard low-fat cardiac diet. The other group ate a Mediterranean diet that included purslane, walnuts, and omega-3 fats. After 5 years, the Mediterranean group had 70% fewer deaths from all causes. Not heart attacks, deaths. The study was stopped early. Continuing the control group's diet was deemed unethical. So why don't you see purslane in grocery stores? In 2022, researchers at Yale answered a different question entirely. They weren't studying nutrition, they were studying survival. Purslane thrives in drought. It grows faster than almost any plant with using very little water. That shouldn't be possible. Most plants use C3 photosynthesis. It works well when water is abundant. Corn and sugarcane evolved C4 photosynthesis. Better for heat, still water-hungry. Desert plants like cacti use CAM photosynthesis. They open their pores at night to conserve water, but they grow slowly. Purslane was known to use both C4 and CAM. Scientists assumed it switched between systems or separated them into different tissues. Yale researchers mapped gene expression at the cellular level. They discovered something unprecedented. Purslane runs both systems in the same cells. C4 photosynthesis during the day for rapid growth, CAM photosynthesis at night for drought survival. The same enzymes, the same cellular space, different jobs at different times. No other plant on Earth does this.
It's like an engine running on gasoline and electricity simultaneously in the same chamber, without switching. This isn't adaptation, it's biological defiance. Purslane survives on 1/5 the water corn requires. It thrives in salty soil. One plant produces over 200,000 seeds. Each seed can survive in the soil for up to 40 years. You cannot kill it with drought. You cannot kill it with heat. Every stem fragment that touches the ground becomes a new plant. And that's the problem. The global herbicide industry surpassed $40 billion in 2024. Entire product lines exist solely to eliminate purslane. Not because it destroys ecosystems, but because it cannot be controlled. You can't patent it. You can't make it sterile. You can't force farmers to buy new seeds every year. It grows freely, feeds people, and refuses ownership. Every major omega-3 source is a controlled market. Fish populations collapse. Supplements cost money. Farming requires infrastructure. Purslane grows for free, and that makes it invisible. While half the world still eats it, known as kulfa, glycerida, verdolaga, ma chi hien, the other half was trained to poison it. Now look at where we're headed. Climate models show crop failure beginning in semi-arid regions, exactly where purslane thrives. Corn needs 20 to 30 inches of rain. Purslane completes its life cycle on 6. Soybeans shut down above 95 degrees. Purslane accelerates. The solution we're searching for already exists. It's under your feet. Learn to recognize it. Thick red stems, smooth leaves, juicy interior, tiny yellow flowers. Stop spraying it. Harvest it young. Eat it raw. Sauté it. Pickle it. Dry it. Save the seeds. Every person who learns to see purslane stops believing food only comes from stores. The most nutritious plants on Earth aren't locked in laboratories. They're buried in plain sight. This is Buried Nature Archive, and the archive is far from empty.